So I got this ambient lighting kit off eBay. I believe they're called EL lighting kits. And I'm going to show you how to install it on this E46. So this is what came in the packaging. It was only 3 things. The EL wire itself, what holds the EL wire into the trim, and then the cabling. So this is where the light comes from and where your phone connects to, and that's what you have to power to make this thing light up. So these are the tools I'm going to be using. The most important part is that I purchased one of these, which is basically for the E46s. This connects to the flashlight port inside the glove box and turns it into a lighter output. So then you can just simply hook one of these up and then get power instead of running to the fuses or running it from here, which might just make it look ugly. One of those is key. So the first thing you want to do is pull off this cover. It's fairly easy. You just pull up at it and it should just pop off like that. And you just want to be careful you pull it more towards the back, not the front side, because that's where the clips are holding it in. And then you just lift it up, should come out fairly easily. And then you just want to disconnect those and those cables. So after you did that, there's 2 screws right here, both Phillips. You just want to undo those. So after you pull those 2 screws out, this whole trim piece should easily pop out, like that. And then you just want to disconnect those 2 cables for the window switches. So after you have that trim out the way, there's 2 more screws, one right here and one right here. You want to remove those as well. So after you take out those screws, you should be able to wiggle this center console piece. And that's all the wiggle room you really need to install the wire. Now you want to remove this trim piece. So you just want to grab a pry tool. It should be fairly easy. You just pick at it and it should come out. Just go along, do it nice and slowly. See, this side popped out. Then just pick at it slowly. Make sure you don't break the tabs from behind. This one's a bit... See, this one came out as well. So now that the trim piece is off, you want to remove the little red tab and this one right here. So the one second closest to the right side. So what happened with me, when I pulled off the trim, it just automatically came off, so it just made my job a bit easier. But for most of you, this will most likely still be here. It'll look like that. You just want to pull that piece out because that's where you're going to stick the wire through. And also what you want to do, when you're looking at the trim, there's going to be these 4 like nail looking things sticking out from the back of the trim because that's how it hooks onto the dash. So what you want to do is you want to push this nail out like that. And then it'll clip out. Because you just want to ensure that there's space for the wire to go through the hole. So what you want to do now is grab the piece that holds the EL wire into the trim. Measure it along the dash. So what I want to do is just have one straight line along the whole dash, leading all the way to the other side. So you want to measure that and cut it to size. So beginning from here and ending at the end of that trim. So after you have that cut done, mine comes out to like about a meter and a half. You want to make sure you have an extra like foot or 2 worth of EL wire sticking out the end of the holder, just so you have enough wire to stick through the hole and hook up to the power. So now what you want to do is to feed the EL wire through that hole, and it should pop out roughly somewhere in the fuse box. So first what you want to do is open the fuse box. So it pops out like that. And then you just want to stick the cable through and see if you can find it. You want to grab the EL wire, obviously then that sticks out more. And then you want to place it through that hole. I don't think you can see it through camera, but you can see my finger moving. I don't know if you can see it, but anyways, it's fairly easy. You stick the EL wire through, and it should pop out from underneath. Just like that. Fairly easy, it takes like 5 seconds. So after you have the EL wire leading to your glove box, what you want to do is hook up the LEDs. So I have one of the LEDs inside my glove box, and then I'm running the other 3 behind the glove box and under this trim right here. So this just lifts up and you can jam the cables under it. It's fairly easy. You just run it along the whole way, and then you pull it through, and you want to stick out from under here. So if you see, if I pull on it, you see that gap opens up. You see my fingers under it like that. So you just want to stick it through here. Then you have the rest of the LEDs. I just jammed up in here because you want to run them here and here. So the cables run through here. They go behind the glove box. If you close it, you see it coming out from under the glove box right here. And then what I basically did, I just jammed it under this trim right here. And then it runs along. And then I took the ends of them and poked them out here. So now what you want to do is grab the ELY that's hanging in your glove box. And then you want to hook it up to the LED. So it's fairly simple. You just unscrew that white little screw right there. You stick the EL wire in. Like that. And then you want to tighten the screw again. And then it should hold it in place so it doesn't move or fall out. So now that you have it hooked up, and you see that the cable's glowing, you know it's working, so that's a good sign. So what you want to do now is you want to put the trim back on. And then run the cable along the dash. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place the EL wire like this so that the nail from the trim holds it in place, and I'm just going to run the cable along the top of the trim. So an easy way to do this is just to grab the trim and then hold the EL wire on top of the trim like that, and then from behind it, you see where that nail is? You just want to make sure it's under the nail, sitting like that, and then you just kind of stick it on. Just play around with it for a bit. You just want it to look like that by the time you're done. So when the nail was behind it, the EL wire went behind it like that, and then went up and over. So it kind of holds it in place. And then I just put the trim onto it, and it's holding fairly well. It won't move. You want to just stick the rest of the trim back on. Have it in. Now it's a good time to push up your fuse box and make sure that's closed and it's out the way. So you just want to close it, twist those tabs. You're good. And just close the glove box like that. So now what you want to do is grab the trim holder and then you just jam it in there. It should work fairly easily. It's pretty straightforward. So you just want to jam it in that gap like that, push it in. It should hold. Just like that. Like that. See how it holds in place? Then you want to run it along the whole dash. Just like that. We'll hold it in. And run it along the trim all the way to the other side as well. So this is how it looks. You just jam it in the trim along the top right there. Goes along in the trim right there. And that's basically how it should look. So now what you want to do is cut some EL wire with the holder to the length of starting from here to about, I'll say, halfway into the shifter box. So around here somewhere. Doesn't have to be exact, but just make sure it passes this line right here, because that's where the trim ends. So you want to make two to the same length and have EL wire sticking through it, and have the EL wire extend a bit past the holder itself, just so there's enough room to hook it up to the LED. So now what you want to do is grab the EL wire you have with the holder, lift the trim up a bit, and then you can just jam this little bit in at the top, and then just lead it all the way down into the shifter box, just like that. See how it fits in? Want to make sure it fits nice and tight, and you want to slowly push this back into where it was, and the EL wire will follow through with it. See, now it just sits nice and cozy right there. And you want to do the same thing to the other side as well. That side. So after both sides are sitting flush with the trim, you just hook up the EL wires to the LEDs. So now that they're hooked up, should look something like that. Runs along, runs along. It is daytime, so you can't really see it that well, but should look something like that. And there also should be an extra LED just hanging around. There's not really any use for it, so I'm just going to leave it there and let it be. So now that everything's good, all the EL wires in, you want to put the trim back together. So you want to put those two screws in first. So after those two screws are in, you want to hook up the cables to the shifter boot, and then you want to put this trim back. So once you have the trim piece back into place, you want to hook up this cable and this cable for the windows, and then you just want to make sure it sits nice and flush. It should fit fine because the LY is pretty flexible, so You shouldn't really have a problem with fitment. Just make sure it sits nice, like how it used to. And then you just want to screw up those 2 bolts right there. So now that the trim is in place and the 2 bolts are in, this isn't nice and tight. Looks nice and flush. You can put the final piece of trim back in. So you just want to stick the front in first. Lay it in fairly flat like that. Should go in fairly easily, like that. And that's it. Alright guys, so this is how it looks like at night. It really pops out at night. Looks really good. Fin finish is nice. Nice and clean. Center console came out really good too. But yeah, that's how it looks. During the day it's not the most noticeable, but at night it's where it shines. Looks really good. I'm happy with it. Hope you guys found the video helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it down below. I'll try my best to answer. And yeah, have a good one, guys.